Dear student, in biology there are 16 chapters, 16 chapter and 5 units, marking MS 56. The first unit contains 4 chapters. Number 1, reproduction in organism. Mass weightage only 2. Mass weightage only 2. And second chapter is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. It contains 4 marks. And number 3, human reproductive system. Human reproductive system. Marks what is 3. And 4th chapter is reproductive health. Reproductive health. Only 2 marks. The first unit has 4 chapters and it has the marks weighted 2, 4, 6, 3, 9 to 11 marks according to the exam of board. The first chapter is reproduction organism. Every organism in the world takes birth, that is, which means starting of life, the beginning of life, and after that it grows. Number 3, get maturity and reproduce new ones, and after that death. Death means end of life. From birth to death, that is called lifespan. Every organism has a different lifespan. Either it is unicellular or multicellular, such as amoeba, paramecium, bacteria, viruses, and multicellular, it may be plants or animals. This lifespan of different organisms are different. It may be ranges from 1 day to thousands of years. Thousands of years. किसी भी जीव का जीवन काल जो है वो 1 दिन से लेकर 1000 साल तक हो सकता है. There are 2 climates to maximum lifespan. All the organisms in the world are live between in 2 days. The minimum lifespan is 1 day, such as mayfly. Mayfly is the insect which has only 24 hours lifespan. Within 24 hours it takes birth, growth, matures, reproduces, and after that death. It completes its life cycle only in 24 hours, it means 1 day. And all other organisms such as 10 years, 20 years, 2 weeks, 50 years, 100 years, maybe thousands of years. In between one day and thousands years, all other living beings have their lifespan. For example, a cow or a dog has lifespan of about 20 years. 20 years. Now we will discuss first chapter, reproduction in organism. तो ये फर्स्ट यूनिट है। फर्स्ट में 1 2 3 4 चैप्टर है। फर्स्ट मार्क्स का जो वेटेज है वो 2 मार्क्स है। सेकंड है उसका है 4 मार्क्स। थर्ड चैप्टर का वेटेज है 3 मार्क्स एंड फोर्थ का वेटेज है 2 मार्क्स। The total weight marks of weightage on first unit is 11 marks. First, life span. Second, life cycle. And third, reproduction. Reproduction. There are 3 topics which I take just. Lifespan. The duration in between the birth and the death of any organism is called its lifespan. For example, a human being lifespan has 80 to 100 years. Generally, it is not necessary every person lives 80 years, 100 years, 50 years. It's birth, from birth to death. The period, lifespan means that the period in between birth and death, that is called lifespan. Most of the insect, a lifespan either 1 week or 2 week. 1 week or 2 week. So that is called lifespan. The period in between the birth and death is called lifespan. And every organism in this world has different lifespan, as their body structure, their habitat, their anatomy, their physiological. Sometimes we see that 2 different organisms which are similar in structure, more or less similar in structure, but they have different lifespan. For example, a parrot and number 2 a crow, तोता और कौवा. There is a similar body structure, somewhat larger or smaller, but mostly they are similar, but their lifespan is too different. When a crow lifespan is only 20 years maximum, while a parrot can live 140 years, while their body structure or size is just similar. It means lifespan is not dependent on the structure and size of an organism. It may be different. Similarly, in mango tree and peepal tree, both are more or less similar in structure and size, but they have also different lifespan. When a mango tree can live 40 to 50 or 60 years maximum, while a peepal tree can live more than 100 years or 150 years, whereas their size and structure is more or less similar. So it means the lifespan do not depend on the size and the structure. First example, in between the crow and parrot, and second as well, we can clearly understand mango and peepal. Number 2, life cycle. Life cycle starts from birth of an organism, then it grows, get maturity, and on maturity it reproduce and produce new progeny, new population, new organism, and after their death. From birth to the death, that is called lifespan, and there are various steps. First of all, birth, फिर growth, maturity, reproduction, और ये आता है senseness. and after senescence, the organism is dead. This whole cycle is called life cycle. Senescence is the period of life from maturity to death. Every organism after maturity it degrades metabolical, physiological process such as respiration, such as circulation, excretion, movement, always degrades. So from maturity to death, there are a sequential degradation of anatomical or physiological processes. That stage is called sensoriness. In हिंदी it is called जीर्णता, वृद्धावस्था या बुढ़ापा से कहते हैं, जिसमें धीरे धीरे प्रोसेस स्लो हो जाती है एंड एट लास्ट अल्टीमेटली द ऑर्गन्स डू नॉट वर्क प्रॉपरली स्टेप बाय स्टेप एंड आफ्टर द end of the life that is called death. So that whole process is called life cycle. And third है reproduction. Before death, every organism reproduce and make the continuity of their genetic material to the next generation. That is called reproduction. For example, reproduction is not necessary in the life of an organism, but it is necessary to continue its genetic materials.